Howdy everyone, Old School Game Collector here, and this is a conversation over coffee. So you may have heard in the last week that Nintendo revealed its first year sales for the Nintendo Switch worldwide, but also in distinguishable markets like the United States and Japan. And according to Nintendo, they have broken the record for first year sales in both the United States and Japan, and the figures are pretty stinking unbelievable. So I've read a few articles. I've read some straight from Nintendo, but also in front of me I have an article from IGN.com, and I've read an article from Engadget just to kind of get my bearings on what these sales look like, and it's pretty unbelievable. Chris Reed over at IGN says, Nintendo recently announced that the Switch was the fastest selling console in US history based on its first 10 months on the market. So we're not even finished with their first fiscal year, and it's already broken the record, which is pretty stinking unbelievable. Chris Reed continues, according to Nintendo's announcement, it sold 4.8 million Switches in the US between March 2017 and January 2018, breaking the record previously held by the Nintendo Wii, which sold about 4 million in the same time frame. That's pretty unbelievable, because I even think of when the Wii came out, do you remember how frustrated people were because they couldn't get their hands on them? It was so hard to find because people were just buying them like crazy. I still remember that first Christmas year that it was out, and it was by and far the most sought after item in that Christmas season, and scalpers were buying them and selling them for just god-awful amounts of money, but people were buying them up like crazy. But these figures are pretty unbelievable. I have a graph in front of me that's the first year sales in millions worldwide for most of the newest systems that have come out. So the Nintendo Switch, according to Nintendo, is projected to sell 14 million Nintendo Switches worldwide in its first year, ending in March. The Wii, in comparison, sold 13.7 million, the PS4, 13.5 million, the Xbox One, 7 million, Xbox 360, 5.9 million, the PS3, 5.6 million, and the Wii U, 3.9 million, which didn't turn out too well. So Chris Reed continues, in fact, the Switch is on pace to sell more units in its first year than the Wii U did in its entire lifespan. Just to put that into perspective for a second, the Wii U sold a total in its entire life 13.56 million units, and the Nintendo Switch is projected to sell 14 million units, which is pretty unbelievable. So they're breaking all these records for the first year, and it kind of just made me think, what is it about the Nintendo Switch that, especially in comparison to the Wii U, I kind of want to focus on that, because what has made the Nintendo Switch so special? Like, why are people just buying this in droves right now? And people are, it's just unbelievable. Almost anywhere I go, even if I have a Switch in my hand, people know what it is and people care about it and are excited about it. And the Wii U literally couldn't have been any more the opposite. And I'm kind of just wondering why. Why is it? I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments section. Why is it, do you think, that the Wii U, in terms of numbers and sales figures, was such an astronomical disaster for Nintendo? And why has the Switch done a complete turnaround? I have a couple thoughts on why. And this is coming from a guy who loves Nintendo. I mean, I've bought every Nintendo system that when it first came out that I can even remember. I mean, even going back to the Virtual Boy, I have supported Nintendo, but it's weird when I think about my life as a Nintendo fan. I actually wasn't excited about the Wii U. I bought it maybe like 3 or 4 months after launch, which is crazy for me. Like, I'm the guy who will stay up overnight when the pre-orders are coming up so I can make sure that I get one the first day it comes out, like I did with the Nintendo Switch. But I think there's a couple reasons, in my opinion, and I would love to hear what yours are, but one is the most obvious to me is the portability. The Wii U kind of touted that it was portable because it came with this giant clunky touchscreen, but the truth is, y'all, I can't even play it in my bedroom, which is one room away from my living room, because if I take it to my bedroom, it doesn't connect anymore. And that's a big deal to me, because it was one of the reasons I was so excited to get the Wii U, whereas the Nintendo Switch, on the other hand, you obviously can play it anywhere you want. And just to give you an idea of how important that is to me, I don't think that I've docked my Switch in probably a week and a half or 2 weeks because I've been playing it in bed. It's been next to my bed for the last week and a half. I had surgery 2 weeks ago, so I've literally been playing my Nintendo Switch. Blossom Tales, I've been playing a bunch. I've been playing Elliot Quest, and Shoe I just picked up, and I've been playing a little bit of NBA 2K, but I've been playing it bedside, which I can't do with my Wii U. Like, I genuinely can't unless I make the dock somewhere in my bedroom, which I don't want to do. So now the Wii U actually just sits in my office. But I think the portability is one of the biggest things. And then I think another one was just third-party support. There was no one supporting the Wii U. Even in the early days, I remember a lot of that third-party support was really just a bunch of games that had already been released. Like Mass Effect 3 was one of those early games, but it was already a game. I even think of what Nintendo did, and they released probably my favorite game on the console was Wind Waker. But just because I'm a massive fan of that game, it's very high on my favorite Zelda games list. But that was a game I've already played multiple times. And there were some great first-party games that didn't come out on other consoles. I loved Pikmin 3. It was one of my favorite games on the entire console. I love Super Mario 3D World. But really, if you think about it, the third-party support was completely lacking. And you can maybe make the same argument for the Nintendo Switch right now, but what I would argue in the opposite of that is that there are so many independent releases on the Switch. And the truth is that probably the last 4 or 5 games that I've absolutely loved have all been indie games that I probably would have never picked up if it wasn't for the Nintendo Switch. So they've had a lot of support. I think I read in an article recently that over 200 games have released on the Nintendo Switch so far. That is a pretty amazing number. And obviously that includes a lot of really small titles. I get that. But it's pretty amazing that there's really almost anything out there for anybody. But the Wii U just didn't really have a whole lot of third-party support. So I think that those, in my opinion, are probably the 2 biggest things. I've heard other arguments that say that a lot of consumers just didn't even know what the Wii U was because it shared its name with the Nintendo Wii. So all these people were like, well, I already own a Wii, so I don't need this Wii U, which in a lot of consumers' minds just sounded like it was an upgrade from the original Wii, so people weren't going to spend, big money, $300 on a system that they felt like they maybe already had that was maybe just an upgrade of the system. So I've heard arguments that consumers were maybe confused with why they would even pick up the Wii U. So again, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are, but it's pretty amazing to read what the Nintendo Switch is doing right now. And I don't know about you, but that makes me excited because third-party support is probably going to come in quicker now because they know that they're going to make some sales. And when you've heard sales figures of some of these independent releases saying that they've sold more in like a week's time than it did for the entire cycle of a system before this, on the Nintendo Switch is pretty unbelievable, and it seems like developers are excited to jump on board. And we haven't even seen some of the biggest releases. Obviously, we've seen Super Mario Odyssey, we've seen Zelda Breath of the Wild, but we have a standalone Pokemon coming soon, which y'all, I don't know if we have taken into account how many millions of Nintendo Switch units that will sell. It will sell so many. I mean, you're thinking about a game that has only ever released on portable systems, and now it's going to release on something that I can dock and play on my TV, and it's going to be an actual Pokemon game, not like a Pokemon Stadium or Coliseum, which I loved Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, but this is going to be a standalone Pokemon title that's going to sell millions of copies. I'm so pumped for Metroid Prime. I mean, really the list goes on. We have Kirby coming up soon. We have Yoshi coming up soon. We still haven't heard of a Super Smash Brothers. These first-party games are really where Nintendo has always shown and has always just knocked it out of the park when it comes to their hardware devices. That's why most people would pick up a Nintendo system. So again, it's pretty amazing when you read these sales figures for the first year of the Nintendo Switch, and I'd just love to hear your opinion again on why you think this has happened. Did you like the Wii U? I'm still a fan of the Wii U. I play it pretty frequently. I've been playing NES Remix the last few weeks just for fun. When I have a few minutes, I kind of pick it up because you can play some of those games in 5 seconds all the way up to 5 minutes, and it's a really great game if you've never played it. So yeah, I'd love to have a conversation again. This is just a conversation over coffee. I hope that you all have a great day and happy gaming.